In this video, I want to show you how to make wheel skirts for a vehicle. In this tutorial, I'm using a level, measuring tape, marker, machine screws, some thread locker, small brackets, drill bits, an automatic center punch, a drill, some corrugated plastic, some aluminum angle, and some sort of saw to cut the aluminum angle. Some examples are a reciprocating saw, a normal handheld hacksaw, and an oscillating tool. For the first step, you will need to decide how much suspension travel you typically use. So I know the lowest distance right here usually only goes to about right here. So I'm going to span the measuring tape across roughly where that is. So again, the bottom is roughly right here, and just record what that measurement is. So in this case, it's about 26 inches. Next step, I'm going to get the angle, measure out what I just measured onto it, and just mark it, and then make a clean cut all the way through. Next step, I'm going to get the angle and line it up where I want it to be. I'm going to get the level to make sure I mark it up level. With the angle level, I'm going to mark the exact same angle as the wheel well where it meets up at the corner of the angle. So I'm just going to try to match it. And then the same for the other side. This is actually a radius, but I'm just going to make a straight cut at the corner going inward. Once I make this cutout from the angle, I'll be able to push it up and it'll line up perfect. Once the angle has been cut, I'm going to put it back up here just to make sure it matches up. Next, I'm just going to move a little bit, roughly 2 inches from this edge right here, cut right here, and then along right here. At this point, the angle should look something like this. So what I'm going to do is put the level on top, lift it up into position with one of the brackets in my hand. Just going to line it up where it's going to sit. This surface needs to be flush with this surface right here. I'm just going to hold the bracket approximately where it'll line up, making sure it's still level. I need to drop a bit. Continue to hold the bracket, set everything aside. Then you can just mark where you want to put this bracket. Next, I'm going to get the center punch, line the bracket up where I wanted it to drill, put this right here, and then the way this works is you just push it, it'll load up a spring, and then it'll go off the edge and then it'll hit and make a dent, so you could use a starting point for your drill point. So line this up, stick it in the hole, and just dent it like this. Then get the drill bit and just drill all the way through the metal. Once you've drilled the hole, you can put the bracket on. So you might need to bend this inward less than 90 degrees just so that when you mount it, this is still completely parallel with this surface. One technique I use to bend these angles is just put it in a vise, and with a ball peen hammer just hammer it down, and that's all you need. Then you got a bent angle. Next up, I'm going to line up the angle to the bracket like this, put it in position, and then on the other side of this hole in the bracket, just mark a spot to drill through on the angle like that. Then just drill through. Once you've drilled through, you can temporarily attach it with one of the machine screws. Get the angle secured on this side. You can lift it up, line it up to where it needs to be on this side, hold the bracket, and repeat the same process we just did, drilling the hole and attaching it to the truck, and then drilling the hole and attaching it to the angle right here. With the bracket secured, it should look something like this. So this is just spanning across. Show you the side view. So what I'm going to do now is get the corrugated plastic and just put it across it. I'm going to line it up at the very bottom of the bracket so it's level with it. And then hold it in place. I'm just going to get the marker, come on the inside of the wheel well, line it up against the wheel well and the coroplast, so right at this corner. And I'm just going to go around and trace along the outline of the wheel well like this. Once you have the outline done, it's time to cut it out. If you have 10 snips, these are much easier to use than normal hand scissors, unless you have very heavy duty hand scissors. At this point, you should have something that looks like this. So I'm just going to make sure it lines up and the outline came out correct. So I see it did. So what I'm going to do now is remove these screws holding the angle to the brackets. I've left one side in just to make it easier. So all I've done is remove the screw right here. What I'm going to do is line up the outline like this. I just have my center punch. I'm going to poke it through these two holes so they're lined up and it's going all the way through. Then I'm just going to put the outline up to it. I've already punched the hole through. The goal is to just punch the hole through, gone the hole through, then you can just remove it. And then you can put the screw going through the corrugated plastic, the bracket, and the angle. Repeat the same steps for the other side. At this point, the wheel skirt looks something like this. It's secured right here and it's strong right here, but it needs attachment points up here. So you could use as many brackets that you want. I'm gonna use 3, so I'm gonna do one right here, here, and then one right here, just so if there's rain getting thrown up there, it's strong enough to not be flopping around. So this step is easy. I'm just gonna get one of the brackets, put my hand under here, push it up against the inside of the corrugated plastic, line it up to the lip of the wheel well, and then just use a center punch to punch into the wheel well lip and then use the other side to punch through here, and it'll punch through the coroplast to line it up. At this point, the wheel skirt should be secured and everything should fit up. There shouldn't be any gap right here, or at least it should be minimized. So now what I'm going to do is take it back off and prepare to paint it. So real quick, one modification I made is I cut out this portion. This is the direct middle of the inside bracket. This is just so there's a little more clearance for the tire. So to stiffen this back up, I'm just going to put this like this, and also I'm gonna attach this part of the plastic directly to it so it can't flop around. While the corrugated plastic is drying, I'm going to go ahead and apply the Loctite. To do this, I've loosened all of the screws up so they're just hanging from the truck. So all I need to do is put a tiny little droplet of the Loctite on. After the Loctite has been applied, I'm just going to push these up and screw in the nuts. To tighten these, I'm just going to use a screwdriver. You don't need to have too much torque on here. With the corrugated plastic completely dry now, I'm going to apply the Loctite directly to the screws that I've placed into the plastic. The same thing, just a tiny drop is all it's needed. With the panel in place, I'm then just going to start putting the nuts on. I'm just going to hand tighten them for now. With all the nuts hand tight, I'm now going to torque them down. Make sure this is completely in place and it can't wiggle, or if it's crooked, fix it now before you tighten everything. And that is how to make wheel skirts for a truck. Thanks for watching.